Hi YouTube! Today we are watching another video from Reggie. Slashers keep, get tortured, eat salami, become God. I think the last one we watched from him was becoming the Rat King. He bred a bunch of rats and then took over an apartment building. I'm just gonna say it. Reggie scares me. I'm scared of Reggie. There, I said it. I said it, okay? It's out there now. It's the truth. Reggie scares me. The way his brain works is terrifying.
Slasher's Keep is a game about crafting powerful weapons, appreciating priceless works of art, slapping men with your leathery sack, and much more, all wrapped up in what can only—
I don't know if I like this art style. I don't know if I like this art style. Just an observation. I'll get used to it, but right now,
be described as an experience. This game has been enjoyed by the same 9 people for the past 5 years, and I'm one of them. So today we'll be exploring Slasher's Keep, reviewing the gameplay, and discovering how to break the game and become God. But first, I have to tell you something. 2 years ago, I was a terrible chef. It didn't matter what I was cooking, I would invariably find a way to mess it up, which was typically followed by a prolonged and violent mental breakdown. Every day, I went to war in my kitchen, and something as simple as flipping an egg could take as long as 7 hours and cost me hundreds of dollars. Homemade pasta? I simply don't know where I'm going wrong. I was certain that my culinary bankruptcy would eventually result in my death, until I found the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Factor is a meal delivery service offering a wide variety of healthy, delicious, and ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Even someone with my condition can prepare these meals. Just 2 minutes in the microwave and you're good to go. These are restaurant quality dishes with over 80 weekly options, ranging from nutritious vegetarian stir fry to high protein beef fillet. And if you're picky, swap out your protein at no extra cost. This isn't the typical slop you might find in my kitchen. It's healthy and delicious.
You guys made me watch that Asmund Gold video where he was making a steak. I didn't know a lot about him, obviously, and I was forced to watch that video. And honestly, it was one of the, it was very surreal. I actually wasn't sure. I thought it was a joke. But you guys assured me it was not. That's all I have to say about it.
Delicious food inspired by several cuisines such as American, Asian, and Mediterranean. Above all else, I personally value Factor for its convenience. You see, I follow a strict workout plan, and Factor gives me the time and energy I need to be at my best. Whether your goal is to put on some muscle or lose some fat, Factor's diverse selection of meals and carefully detailed nutritional information can help you on your journey. So what are you waiting for? Reggie. Skip the dishes, simplify healthy eating, and above all else, avoid destroying your oven every time you try to make a casserole by visiting factor75.com or clicking the link below and using code ReggieFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That is amazing. Thank you, Factor. Now back to the video.
I know that's not like the main topic of this video, obviously, but do you guys remember watching How to Basic? I thought he was like the peak of humor. As a small bear. As a child, I really thought he was like peak humor. He was so funny to me. My question is, did he own that house? Did he clean that house? Where did he get all this food? Is it like expired food? Did he work somewhere that would like he would just like take home all this expired food? Or is it like perfectly good food that he just went out and bought? Because to me, I thought like, oh, maybe he like works at like a food pantry or something, and he like just gets all like the expired food and like drives out to abandoned houses in the middle of the forest or something. He probably had a team to clean it and probably not his house. I always imagined that he, like, found houses that were, like, condemned or something and, like, cleaned them up a little bit enough to, like, make a video in them and then just left it all there. I never knew it was supposed to be funny. It was obviously supposed to be funny. You're supposed to laugh at how ridiculous it was, which is a version of humor. If it was with expired food, that would actually be kind of a sweet gig. I just don't know if he's ever explained where he got the food from. Anyways, that was not even the point of this video. It's just something that I think about every time I see How to Basic.
First things first, we've got to create a character. I am pleased to announce that I have several options to choose from, including Demon, Slime Man, and Sasquatch. However, you probably haven't unlocked those yet, which means you're stuck with either Amazon Warrior or Puss from The Sopranos. Technically, each race does have different abilities, but the developer went out of his way to make sure that none of them are any good. So unless you're trying to roleplay as a cannibal, your race doesn't really matter. After settling on a geriatric man who's redder than the devil's dick, we load into the game and wake up locked in a prison cell. We were put here by our insane brother Bindrick.
Once I establish my theocracy, I will throw you in my dungeon and let you rot for eternity.
And it doesn't sound like we're getting out anytime soon, until you realize the cell door isn't actually attached to anything, and you can just push it over.
Nice!
Fortunately for us, the guard is on a piss break, so we grab some random loot from this chest and start our adventure. Your primary goal in Slasher's Keep is to stop playing Slasher's Keep, which we accomplish by escaping the castle. Depending on how you set up your game, this could involve fighting through as few as 10 floors or as many as 70. Each time you die, it's back to floor 1 with no gear, no money, and a new hole in your drywall. However, despite dying, you maintain most of your stats, which means that over several runs, you can slowly build up a stockpile of strength, dex, and intellect to compensate for your lack of skill.
Oh, the camera's on. The camera's been on the whole time, huh?
Eventually, you'll become
Every time I'm reminded of that video against my f***ing will. That was real. That was real. That actually happened to that guy. The thing is, I wouldn't have been like, oh, the camera's been on. The camera's been on the whole time. I would have been like, got ye, perverts. But I guess in the moment, it would have been like, harder, but like, I don't know. In the moment, you probably would have been so embarrassed, you wouldn't have been able to be like, oh, it was a funny joke. But, oh my god. Does that guy still stream? Camera's been on the whole time, huh? Wait, this was supposed to be for Patreon. That guy still streams? Oh, I'd have to change my name, move to another country, and never get on the internet ever again. Ever.
An unstoppable killing machine, one-shot the final boss, and escape the castle. But is any of that actually fun? The answer is, I think so. It's fun in the same way that using a ham radio to sexually harass truck drivers is fun.
I'm over here stroking my dick, I got lotion on my...
Which is to say, at first, it's very awkward. But once you settle into it, it's a great way to spend your night.
Man, I'm a freak, man.
During this adventure, you'll encounter multiple strange characters and even participate in side quests, which you can pick up from a talking face in the wall.
I'm glad he has hobbies.
The child. Corrupt them all.
Traditionally, I don't recommend listening to voices in your head when they command you to kill people in increasingly deranged ways.
If I chop you up in a meat grinder, and the only thing that comes out that's left of you is your eyeball, you're probably dead!
But the rewards are very compelling. You see, at its core, this game is about getting loot and stabbing people. So let's take a look at the equipment. By killing enemies, finding treasure, and interacting with the merchant, we can access a diverse selection of armor. And the developer has invested hundreds of hours into making sure that regardless of whatever combination of clothes you equip, you will always look like a gay medieval prostitute. Imagine an entire dungeon where this is the coolest guy. Truly remarkable. In addition to armor, there's also a variety of weapons ranging from battle axes to a bundle of bananas taped on the end of a stick. And if you prefer magic, we've got that too. There are several different types of wands you can use, but I'll put this bluntly. In terms of combat effectiveness, low-level wands are about as useful as pissing in your cupped hands and splashing it at the enemy. Doesn't hurt unless you get them in the eyes, and even then, you're going to run out of ammo before you know it. But perhaps your most powerful weapon of all is the humble sack. By pressing F, you can sack slap your enemies, pushing them back depending on how full your inventory is. Combine this with some environmental hazards, and you've got yourself an instant kill on any enemy in the game. Which is very important, because the difficulty curve in Slasher's Keep is either entirely random or designed by someone who hates you specifically. Because one floor, you're killing everything no problem. The next, you're getting one-shot by the goddamn mosquitoes. But I digress. Whether you want to harass people with your sack or bludgeon them into submission with a beef leg doesn't really matter. What does really matter is what skills are on your weapon.
It's supposed to be 3D, but it has like a 2D look to it. Oh, I just don't know how I feel about it. I just don't know. My sack is pretty powerful. Yeah, well, I'll slap it so hard that you'll instantly die, just like in this game. 2.5D. Exactly. There's something off about it. I don't know. It's hard to look at. Like this, it just looks stretched.
Piece of equipment provides you with unique abilities. For example, these shoulder pads give me Mind Blast, which means that whenever I decapitate an enemy, their decollated head will turn into a grenade and hopefully kill their allies. The reason skills are important is because you can permanently learn them, so that even when you die and lose everything, you'll still have a collection of strange and vaguely useful abilities to fall back on. Not only can we learn these skills, but we can also level them up, which results in some fascinating gameplay outcomes. For example, Iron Skin gives us a 2% chance to become invulnerable upon taking damage. But if we level this up 98 times, that chance increases to 100%. So whether you're getting stabbed repeatedly or standing in a stream of molten lava, it doesn't matter. You are functionally invincible. There's an overwhelming number of skills, but I'll tell you about the best ones and the most questionable. Skill number 1, Golden Tongue. This might be the best one in the game because with only a single point in it, we can now get one free item from a shop on every floor. Legendary artifact weapon worth thousands of gold? Yeah, I'll take the 100% discount and then sell it back to you for a profit. Speaking of discounts, if you continue leveling Golden Tongue, you'll get a shop-wide discount. For example, I have a 1700% discount on all items I purchase. Every time I buy anything, the shopkeeper goes into massive debt and has to take out a second mortgage on his house just to pay me back. This is the way I prefer to do business. Next skill, Deflect. This one lets you deflect enemy projectiles with your sword. The higher the skill, the higher your accuracy. Eventually, you'll get so precise that you could perform laser eye surgery with a tennis racket from 90 feet away. But don't worry about philanthropy. We're going to be using this exclusively for killing people, mainly bugs and closeted homosexuals.
Oh, I really like this, like the way he's describing the game so far. This sounds really fun. Buying you 100%. Yeah, this sounds really fun.
This is a huge game changer because it now enables a playstyle I call left mouse button, where you simply find the fastest weapon available, hold down left click, and walk toward enemy casters cackling maniacally as you continuously smoke them in the face with their own projectiles. The final essential skill in your arsenal should be improved sack smack. Prior to this, your sack is comparable to a weighted pillow, but after getting this skill, your sack may as well be full of dumbbells and hand grenades, because hitting an enemy with it will not only launch them 40 feet across the room, it will also kill them on the spot. My final note on the topic of good skills is that any skill can be good if you're willing to level it up 400 times. Pyromastery increases our fire damage 600%. Not bad, but now that it's level 400, it increases fire damage by 40,000%, which turns our fire wand into a portable death sentence for everyone in the room. In fact, the blast radius is so large that it's also a death sentence for people outside of the room. Moving on to some less practical skills, we have flame walking. Every time you attack, there's a chance you light your footsteps on fire, which can damage your enemies, and if you combine it with our 40,000% fire damage, it's going to kill them every time. I know that sounds cool, but it's really not cool when you walk into a pool of oil and accidentally self-immolate. So you might want to hold off on that Illidan Stormrage content. crossplay. Next terrible skill, exothermic shrinomancy. Just got out of a crazy fight with like 10 health? Don't worry, there's a healing shrine right over there. And now with exothermic shrinomancy, it will explode.
Honestly, I think this is the first game he's ever played that I actually genuinely want to play. This sounds real. I think I would get frustrated with it because I hate dying in games. Dora. What the hell, Dora? Hedora. We need to beat Hedora with sticks at TwitchCon, you guys. You're a goober, thank you. But like, this sounds so fun. This sounds like you could really like have a good time with it and just break the game. Like once you get to break the game enough, it just becomes like super fun. You could never die.
Load after use, likely killing you in the process. Why would I want this? In a similarly disappointing vein, we have the arachnophile ability. All over the map, there's spiders that you technically can eat, but no one does that because it deals damage and makes you shit yourself. However, with the arachnophile trait, we can eat those spiders to restore a small amount of ammo to our wand, but we still take damage and shit ourselves. Far be it for me to judge, but if you ever find yourself sitting in a dungeon eating bugs while covered in your own feces and vomit, you've probably made some bad choices.
No,
Lastly, we have the fun skills, starting with the denotificator. Many years ago, there lived a wild man named Ruprecht. Once a year, he would emerge from his hovel and creep through the neighboring villages, giving gifts to the well-behaved youth. The naughty ones, however, he would beat them half to death with his rod. That divine duty is now ours, because this skill allows us to beat the ever-living shit out of our enemies until they drop gifts for us. Honestly, I don't even care about the gifts that much. Half the time, I just leave them there. But getting the gifts, I like that a lot. It makes me feel like I'm extracting a confession out of a serial killer.
You fuck young boys, Valdez.
Are you a madman?
It's just very fulfilling. Other than that, you could run Force Knight. This increases your physics-based damage, so now it's entirely possible to blow a man's head off with a wooden crate. And once your skill is high enough, you don't even need the crate. You can just accelerate your enemies into a wall at 900 miles per hour and snap their neck like a twig. Also, you can use this perk to prop surf, which can be useful for taking shortcuts and finding treasure. Just make sure you don't accidentally glitch out of the map, because you'll get stuck in a 5-minute loading screen, followed by an ominous message which reads, "I've failed." At which point, congratulations, you've broken your save file. So keep it simple and beat people to death with chairs. Then, if you're feeling special, you can use the scrap collector skill, which lets you disassemble human bodies into spare weapon parts. Speaking of weapon parts, crafting is a big part of the game. Over time, you'll loot different components and trinkets, which can then be arranged and assembled into your own custom weapon. I call this one Tarantino's Delight, and I've got about 20 different models of the motherfucker. Crafting weapons is a test in which there are no wrong answers. So grab a blade, put the handle on backwards, sprinkle some random bullshit on it, and you're good to go. So that covers your weapons and skills. Now let's take a look at the dungeon itself. As you progress through each floor, you will explore 3 breathtaking biomes, which I am incorrectly titling Sex Dungeon, Platforming Hell, and Some Guy's House. Each one has its own unique traps, puzzles, and denizens. So let's start at the beginning.
Sex Dungeon.
This biome raises some red flags. The entire place is covered in oil and vaguely pornographic subject matter. It appears to have its own Epstein client list.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
And in order to even escape, it's mandatory that you and another man smack each other with your sacks until one of you is dead. I don't know for a fact what goes on down here, but I can tell you confidently I'm not drinking that wine. Point is, we need to escape. And to do that, we're going to have to kill a small army of zombies, warlocks, and naked mole rats. Fortunately, this is very simple. Not because I have a plan, but because the entire combat system is very simple. 95% of all enemies can be handled in the following manner. Hit them in the face, wait for them to try to hit you back, parry it, and repeat. The worst part about this is the AI also wants to parry you, which results in most of your battles devolving into a high-stakes staring contest. With a combat system as thrilling as this, all you have to do is memorize some attack patterns. After that, combat becomes fairly trivial, and instead, your number one threat will be mankind's most quintessential enemy, your own stupidity. Nothing humbles the human spirit quite like ending a 7-hour run by accidentally jumping off a ledge. Furthermore, the sex dungeon has a wide variety of traps, many of which can one-shot you. We've got your classic spiky floor trap, swinging door trap, and the fan favorite slowly descending ceiling trap. This game also seems to get off on combining all of these together in a singular area, and when I have to try and navigate a hallway with floor spikes, swinging blades, magic missiles, and flying bugs, I start involuntarily convulsing.
I love it!
Now, if you do manage to survive
Is that
all
more
of
gay
that,
porn?
you'll come across the first boss, the spider. She is very dangerous, so I treat her like I treat all women. I keep my distance and then dissolve her in acid. To accomplish this, simply run around the edge of the arena while jumping. After exactly 25 jumps, the spider will start laying eggs. Kill the eggs before they hatch, and then lure the spider into the acid puddles.
I can't watch this stuff because it reminds me of Silent Hill, and that game tortured me with the laying eggs. Everything makes me think of that game. I'm traumatized, honestly. That game was not good.
Will kill her very fast.
In the combat system!
And if you're lucky, you'll get some great loot. Now that we've played for 5 to 10 hours and beat the first boss, we can safely answer an important question.
story was
How
fine.
does this game feel? Terrible. The game feels terrible. I struggle to properly articulate how clunky the movement is, but if you can imagine trying to operate a Challenger 2 main battle tank while 7 grown men hit you as hard as they possibly can with baseball bats, then you're about 80% of the way to understanding. It is then a surprising and regrettable decision that the developer chose to make the entire next biome focused on movement-based puzzles, because upon killing the spider,
I cannot parkour. Oh no. Okay, this is where the game fucks me then. I can't parkour. What'd you say? We're gonna do that at TwitchCon? Please don't hit me with stakes at TwitchCon.
we are now entering
Please.
platforming hell. Have
What
you
did I
ever wanted
pause
to
at?
climb a staircase
Oh,
where the
sorry,
stairs
Axel.
are disappearing and the floor kills you? Me neither, but we're here now, so let's try to
Sorry.
figure this out. This biome gets an absurd amount of mileage out of jumping puzzles, which is just so unfortunate, because the collision detection in this game is, at all times, having a stroke. The only tip I have when jumping is to stay away from the wall, because I am absolutely convinced that the hitboxes were designed as part of a CIA operation to increase suicide rates among gamers. And goddammit, they're getting close.
God damn it.
Moving on, the traps in this biome are largely the same as before, with the exception of the swinging blades.
I can't do
Spike traps will
parkour.
make your run harder. Swinging blades will make your run shorter, so I recommend avoiding when possible. Moving on to the monsters, the only new addition here is the Charger. This guy is the exception to our rule about parrying, because he
Why is he
will
shaped like
one-shot
that?
you. The Charger is actually mildly terrifying, until you realize you can use the terrible collision detection against him, and perfectly counter him with a door frame, spike traps,
Nice.
or any wall that's not perfectly parallel to his line of attack. In my completely uninformed opinion, this biome is harder than Sex Dungeon. The Sex Dungeon had
right,
plenty of crates
yeah.
and shelves stocked with kielbasa, apples, and wine laced with Ambien, all of which was edible and restored HP. However, the crates in this biome aren't full of food. Instead, you're more likely to find bloody surgical equipment and studded butt plugs. This makes a noticeable difference in your health
Studded
economy,
butt
so make sure to
plugs.
stock up on those healing potions. After escaping this area, we proceed to the final biome, which I am now renaming Vancouver, because it has the facade of a nice place. However, it's full of meth
I've never
heads that
been
want to
there.
stab you. In general, the manor is much
I
more
thought Canadians were
puzzle-centric.
nice.
Interact with strange
Why are they stabbing
machinery,
each other?
climb into someone's septic tank, enter secret codes into hollowed-out books, and hold on, is that painting looking at us? Yes.
Kill
Yes,
it.
it is. And there's a yellow-eyed pervert on the other side of it. All in all, it's very charming. Unfortunately, this biome doesn't introduce many new traps, and the only new enemy is the sword goblin from before, except now he has 2 swords, and years of drug abuse have turned his skin gray. However, the developer anticipated that we might be disappointed by this lack of content, so he sat back in his RGB gaming chair and pondered to himself, what does the player base desire above all else?
This game does seem
Yes,
cool. I
they
just
want
don't
more
like the art
platforming.
style.
And then he added the hardest jump in the entire game. I thought this was impossible for the first 20 minutes, and now I have to do it on every other floor. 1,000 curses upon you, Damien Schloter. Once you've killed about 100 drug addicts, you're probably ready for the final boss. From a design perspective, when your combat system is this, creating a compelling boss fight requires a lot of creativity, and Slasher's Keep did not too bad. We enter the final boss room, where we finally confront our brother Bindrick. If you enter as a human, he'll recognize you and give you some exposition. If you enter as a polyamorous slime man, he's confused as fuck.
Wait, who are you? I was expecting someone else.
Either way, Bindrick mind-controlled this Amazon warrior, and now she's trying to kill us. To win, we need to parry
This is kinda
attacks until
clever,
she
the
drops her
writing.
swords. Then, when she tries to pick them up, we just steal them. This forces her to run to one of the nearby chests for more weapons. These are conveniently
her.
placed next to some spikes, which we promptly tackle her into. Then, while she's busy bleeding to death, we can see what's inside the chest. If it's good, we take it for
Nice.
ourselves. If it's a rusty sword made of dirt, we let her have it. And when she recovers, we continue the cycle all over again. It's actually very easy, but fairly creative given the gameplay limitations. Alternatively, we could
Yeah, this
focus
is
on
cute.
killing Bindrick by destroying these pillars and causing him to fall off a 15-foot high balcony and die. Not the most cinematic boss fight, but it
Oh.
works. Regardless of who you choose to kill, just make sure you pick up Ava's body, because by participating in human trafficking, we can unlock some very powerful abilities. On that note, I want to warn you about New Game Plus. Because of
Okay.
how the difficulty scales and how you lose stats, it's very likely that you will load up New Game Plus, die once, lose all of your good gear, start over with shit gear, and keep dying. With each death, you lose more stats until you've basically soft-locked your game, because it takes you 20 minutes to kill a single zombie and everything now one-shots you. There's no sophisticated solution to this. You just have to be better. Once you've achieved some level of stability, you're ready to start using Alchemy. This is a component of the game that I recommend ignoring until you get to higher difficulties, because it actually breaks the game. We'll start off simple. You can loot or purchase flasks throughout your adventure, and by mixing different liquids into them, you can create hundreds of
I'm not even gonna go back. I'm not gonna go back. But did you guys see that? Was that real? That is fucking foul. I'm not going back. Was that real? How's that allowed on YouTube? Was that real? I don't want to make people look at that. That's disgusting. What do you mean there's worse than that? Ew. No, I don't think anything could be worse than that. What? Oh my god. Humans were a mistake. What was it? I was playing a game. You do not want to know. You literally don't want to know. If you didn't see it, just be very happy that you didn't see it. Jesus.
different elixirs. Some of these are decent, and others, such as Mega Wine, just make you black out and wake up on floor 1. Not great. However, beyond that, there exists a brand of alchemy that will turn you into a god. Here's how it works. It's all about scrolls and grease. Let's start with the Cyberthurgist's cryptograph. These scrolls can be looted or purchased, and when used, they consume a piece of armor and permanently add 20% of the armor value to your character. However, if we combine Dungaberry's concoction with liquid steel, we can create parchment grease, which, when applied to a scroll, buffs the scroll's effect. So, by getting 9 parchment greases, we can buff our scroll to give us a permanent 200% armor. Use that on a piece of late-game gear, and congratulations, you've now got a permanent plus 6,000 armor despite being completely naked. Now listen, that's a cute tactic, but it's just the tip of the autistic min-maxing iceberg. The Warrior's Writ, the Trickster's Treatise, and the Magician's Manifesto are all scrolls that
Seems so
permanently buff a piece
complicated.
of armor by 2 strength, dex, or int. However, by applying parchment grease, we can increase that buff to 4. Not a big deal, but if we do it again, it doesn't go to 6, it goes to 8, which means we're doubling it. 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, and if we
Yes.
use a total of 20
64,
parchment grease, the
Minecraft.
final stat goes all the way to 2 million. Depending on which stat you
Jesus.
choose to buff, you could end up with 6 billion health, or so much intellect that every time you kill a single enemy, you level up 60 times in a row. And even if you
Nice!
try to quit the game, it keeps going. Now the hard part is getting your hands on that much grease. In real life, I could harvest it from the nearest convention of Redditors, but in Slasher's Keep, I must humbly prostrate myself before the gods of RNG. Allow me to introduce the Chair of Sacrifice. This is a religious
no.
icon that you may sacrifice items to in exchange for random rewards. If you're lucky, you'll get a great weapon. If you're really lucky, you'll get the ingredients you need for some parchment grease. Praise be
Nice.
to the Holy Chair. Wife left me. I'm $50,000 in debt. Electric company shut off my power, and I'm
Oh.
currently running this game on a diesel generator. But none of that matters when I'm performing high-level alchemy. Last but not
Exactly.
least, you need to know about the shoot. I should have mentioned it sooner, but I'm a hack, and we're at the
Wait.
end of the script.
Did he ever play what's that drug game? The weed game where you make weed. Schedule 1. Did he ever play Schedule 1? Did I already watch him play Schedule 1? I would like to see him play Schedule 1. Hi, Cobra. I feel like you might have. I have no idea, but I don't believe so. I was just curious if anybody knew. You watch? Yeah, we watched Fleek. He's never played Schedule 1? This man needs to play Schedule 1. He must. He has to. In fact, I insist.
So, open wide, chuddy. This is a garbage
Jesus.
chute. You can find them on every level, and they all lead back to the first floor. By vomiting copious amounts of equipment down the chute, we can soften the blow of dying to a spike trap. Because
cool,
when I
though.
respawn on the first floor, I'll be able to equip myself with what is effectively the estate sale of a cross-dressing serial killer. The global billionaires don't want you to know, but this is how you accrue generational wealth. There are other useful strategies and exploits, but honestly, once you've got 6 billion health, I think you've done enough min-maxing. So in conclusion, Slasher's Keep is an exciting and enigmatic example of combining several mediocre systems into a finished product which is greater than the sum of its parts. I hate the movement, I hate the combat, I hate the races, I even hate the goddamn mosquitoes.
Oh,
And yet, I
what do you
love this
like?
game. 10
Oh.
out of 10 experience. Declaring war on pottery and eating dungeon kielbasa has never felt better. Thank you to this month's patrons for supporting the channel, and finally, thank you for watching.
I think that somebody needs to write him an email asking him to play Schedule 1. I want to watch him play Schedule 1. I think he'd really like it. I need this man to play Schedule 1. It's not actually, no, it's not a need. It's a primal desire for this man to play Schedule 1. Please don't email him.